Hey there, welcome to my lesson on HTML, and this tutorial will talk about anchor hypertext links. And this is a very important concept in the World Wide Web. In fact, it's kind of the most basic premise of all these interlinking hypertext links. And I will show you how to do that. It creates the most basic level of interactivity in your websites. So here we have our basic web page we have set up in the past lessons. Very basic, but showing some of the fundamental aspects of it. And what I'm going to do is go to our code and show you how to add an anchor link in here. And I have added one around the image tag. So let me retype that in to show you. And what it does is I usually use the word wrap or contain. This anchor link will contain around this image to make this image linkable. So all we do is add our a bracket and bracket /a bracket around the image. Depending on how you want to organize it, you can put the a like that so that we can see how it's balanced. But since it's such a short tag, we don't necessarily have to do that. And now this image has an anchor tag around it. However, to make it useful, we have to put an attribute in, and that attribute is href. And like our other attributes, it's href equals double quote. And before I know perhaps what the link is going to be, I'll put a pound sign in there. But I'll show you when I save this and go back over to and reload our page, this image now becomes linkable. You'll see it by the hand that's on there, and when we go off, it turns back into the pointer, and now it's the hand, and it's everywhere the image is, so it encapsulates that image. And right now it doesn't go anywhere. You click on it and all it does is add the pound up there. See? So that's all it is for that. And so let's make this a little more useful. We'll go back to our Notepad++, and I have found a link that I would like to link it to here. And that is going to be this felinerescue.org. So I'm going to copy this link, go back to our source for the href, and instead of the pound sign, I'm going to paste in the felinerescue.org. And it's important to make sure this is the correct link. I copied it right from the URL bar on the browser, but you just have to verify that that works. And of course, when it is a broken link, you'll find out that it does not. And from our last lesson, you remember that this is an absolute link. We talked about relative and absolute, and we'll do a relative link next, but I just wanted to make sure you know the difference of that. So let's save this and go back to our browser and reload. And again, it's a live link, but this time when we click on it, it will go to the felinerescue.org. So that's a way to link to another website with an image. And the one problem with this, though, is that the user really doesn't know what they're getting into or expects by clicking this, and so that's not a very good user experience item. But we'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about user experience later on. But for an example, that'll work fine. We just want to make sure that the user knows what they're clicking on and he can expect some things. So now I'm going to talk about a relative link, but we're going to use one of our list items here to put a link in. So again, it's bracket a, close bracket, and we're going to wrap this in the other closing anchor. So you'll notice it's important to keep this balanced where the text is the innermost part, the anchor link is the next innermost part, the list item is surrounding that, and then the unordered list is surrounding that. So again, we can put some hard returns in here if we wanted to see how that works out. But it's important to note, and a mistake might be to put this out here, and that's not balanced because that A is inside of this LA and then the ending tag's outside of it. So let's make sure that it stays balanced like that. And that's something you always want to troubleshoot and debug if something's not working out, just to make sure everything's balanced. And by keeping all of your code organized like this, it'll help you debug that. So now we have an A tag around here, and we have to put on our attribute of href. And I'm not sure where it's going to go yet, but this is another thing I'm going to show you, is to create a new page. So we're going to create About Me page. Let's go back to our desktop, go into our web page folder that we created that contains all of our files. Here we have our HTML file, the index. So the index is the main page in the images folder. And then I'm going to create a new page. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did before in the very first lesson. I'm going to create a new text document, and I'm going to call it About. You can call it whatever you want right now, about.html. And again, it's going to give me that warning, and I'm going to hit yes for OK. So we have a new page, about.html. If we open that in Notepad++, it's blank. So you know the drill of how to start that. I'm going to start a whole new HTML page. I'm going to copy this since its beginning skeleton is the same. Paste it. I'm going to take out some items here. I'm going to leave in a lot of it, but I'm going to take out perhaps this just so it has some differentiating content. We'll keep in our nav because that's going to be persistent among all the pages, and we'll keep this, but we'll change that to About Me. So remember when I said the H1 is the most important item on the page, so we'll put that as the title of the page. And of course we want to change the title. And there's numerous ways to do that. You could change this to About Me, or you could put something like this in there, so it's the main name of the page and then About Me. And then I could change the H2 as the second most important item on the page is this page is About Me. So something very simple. And that's all we have so far. And this remains the same, the nav, because it's going to be persistent. I'm going to save that. And so remember that in our folder, the About Me is right in the same folder as the index. So if we go back to our index, and we're going to update this href to About Me. And if you remember me talking about relative tags, we can just type in About. It was called About, I believe. Yes, About.html. And that's all you need to do. And so that's a relative tag. So if we save that and go back to a browser and refresh the page, you will see About Me becomes a live link using the browser's default styles for this being underlined and blue. If we click it, it will go to our new page. Remember, I removed the image and changed these text items. And for now, we have no way to get back but to hit the back button. And then the visited link is purple. That's the browser's default for that. And I will show you how to override that very shortly. So that's a relative link. And I want to show you a couple. That's pretty much the main thing you need to know about anchor links. That's the very powerful feature that you have. So just remember to wrap what you need to have be, and the anchor link will be the size of the item before it. So going back to our page, it's not any longer than this inline item. It stops right there. It's only as big as the items, and the anchor link is wrapping around this image, so it's only as big as that image. So keep those balanced. I want to show you a couple more attributes that you can use. Attributes just go right inside, as we talked about before, right inside the bracket of the main heading, or the start bracket. So I'm going to put a space after this attribute, and I'm going to use a target attribute. Set it up like that as our normal attributes. And the main one I want to talk about, there are several others, but I want to talk about blank. It's underscore blank, and if I save that, that's telling the browser what the target for the anchor is. If I click on this again, blank, what it does is open up, you'll see it open up a new tab. If I had my browser to set up a new window, it would open up a new window. But what the underscore blank does, it opens up a new window or tab, depending on how the browser is set up. So that can be interesting. It's usually convention to, if you're going to a different site other than your own, to set up a blank target so that it can they can get back to your site when they close that tab. And there are other ones, but this is the most useful and the best user experience one. There's also self, but that's the same thing as having nothing at all. That's the default. So target is another attribute. Another one is download. Now this one I wanted to talk about because this is an interesting attribute in that it doesn't have the equal sign and the quotation marks with a description in the attribute. It's just simply download, and what that says is for the user to download that item when they click on it. And again, this is a user experience thing that you want to make sure the user knows what they're getting into. You want to indicate that this will be downloaded. You want to consider whether the user should download it. But just for sake of example, let's save that and go back to this, refresh the page, and click that, and you'll see it downloaded, and it's downloaded into my downloads folder there. That's a new attribute in HTML5. But let's not use that. That's not very user-friendly. Let's show you the type attribute. Type equals. Now this one's back to the normal attribute style where it has the equal sign. And text is one you can use that lets the browser kind of know what it's getting into when it clicks that link. Type text is an HTML page or any type of text document like that, usually an HTML page. If I save that and go back to the browser, you really won't see any difference visually, but many attributes don't have a visual aspect to them. Some other ones might be audio if you're linking to an audio file, or image if you're linking to another image. So that's just another one you can use. And there's several others, but these are some that you can play around with for now to know what you're getting into. And that is the very powerful Anchor hyperlink text. Come back next time for more information. We'll keep making this web page bigger and better and looking nicer. Thank you.